All right, so I want to talk about this idea of perfectionism has been on my heart lately. And it's been on my heart because it has been honestly, a journey for me to move through, giving myself permission to be imperfect. Hey, Ricky. Let me know how y'all are doing. How are you holding up? What have you been moving through? How are you taking care of yourself? Hey, Maddie. How are you taking care of your family? How are you taking care of your psyche as we move through this space that we're in now as a country, as a world? So let me know in the comments. So I want to share my thoughts with you around imperfection. And I just wonder what if your imperfection was the catalyst to your next level? What if it were the catalyst to your success, or to the catalyst to your freedom, to your liberation? What if? And I want to talk to you about this tonight because I've given myself a hard time in the past, and still do sometimes, because I don't feel like I'm perfect around certain things. A lot of the clients that I work with, they have this mindset of, they have to be perfect, right? Nothing's ever good enough. And it holds them back, and it holds us back. And so tonight I just wanted to come on and talk about how powerful it can actually be when you decide to just give yourself permission to be imperfect. Because when we try to step into being perfect, what we're really doing is we're trying to step into the way that we feel most people will accept us. That, in my mind, is what perfection is. So if you're striving to be that, then it's like you're striving to be seen in a certain light by other people. And my loves, one of the things that I know for sure is that when we do that, when we step into this role of trying to be perfect and we feel like we're not good enough, we're dimming our lights, and we're not allowing the world or those that are in our space to be able to see the full essence of who they are, of who we are, right? Our full essence doesn't shine through. Our full essence doesn't come through. We don't speak our truth. We don't stand on our truth. We don't show up how we are meant to show up. And so what if you just gave yourself permission to just be who you are, to be imperfect, and not even imperfect? What if you just said to yourself that, okay, how I show up and what I do in my life is enough? Can you let your enough be enough? Can you give yourself permission to do that? And I wonder what would shift in your life if you gave yourself permission. Hey, Teddy, if you gave yourself permission for your enough to be enough. Let me know in the comments, what would that look like for you? How would that feel for you if you gave yourself permission to let your enough be enough? So this has been coming up really strong within me because, being in the house and not being able to do the typical things that I like to do to care for myself, like, getting my nails done, right? Or getting my hair done. I've been feeling really self-conscious about that. Like, my nails right now look horrendous. Like, I have some nails that have polish on it, some nails that don't have polish on them. And I find myself feeling really self-conscious about showing up and talking online because I use my hands to speak. And what I recognize is that I was choosing to allow something like that small to hinder me from showing up and being present and sharing my message. And it showed me that how much I care about what other people think of me. And that's not really any of our business. What other people think of us is none of our business. Our sole purpose in our lives and in our businesses, entrepreneurs, I'm speaking to you, and even those who have careers, and maybe you're not an entrepreneur, that's okay. What I want you to know is that your only job is to show up in your truth and in who you are. I've spoken to women in conversations, and they're deathly afraid to show up online and actually speak because they have an accent. And they're, hey, Veronica, they have an accent. And they're afraid that people won't understand them. Or they're afraid that, they sound different than most people. So, they're worried that they're not going to be able to show up perfectly like everyone else does. And it's that piece right there that is actually your uniqueness that people will actually fall in love with you for, right? So, when I get on here and I do these Facebook Lives, I try to force myself sometimes, and I've noticed this lately, try to force myself to just to be really concise, right? To stick to only 3 points that I want to talk to and to only speak to those things. And I've wondered why I have felt so resistant to come on and do Facebook Lives and show up, like this. And it's because I was trying to force myself to show up in a way that wasn't really true to me. I like to talk, right? I can be long-winded. I like to give examples. I like to just go on tangents and allow whatever wants to come through me to come through. But I had been holding that back because, again, worried about, well, how are people going to perceive me? Will they think that I'm not professional if I'm not just, being concise and to the point? And we've got to let that go. One of the things that we get to stop doing is looking at what other people are doing and then comparing ourselves to what they're doing and then beating ourselves up because we're not showing up like them. When we do that, we're not being really nice to ourselves, right? We're beating ourselves up. And why? Right? Like if our kids came to us and said that they feel bad for how they are because they don't show up like their friend or they're not like so-and-so, we would sit them down and have a good talk with them and say, listen, you're perfect just how you are, right? Let your uniqueness shine. We would tell them that. We need to tell ourselves the same thing. You get to tell yourself the same thing. So when you are facing that feeling of feeling like you're not enough or feeling like your work is not perfect enough, understand that it's not meant to be any other way than how it moves through you, period. Because really what we're saying when we have this mindset that we think things have to be perfect, what we're saying is that, one, we're not good enough. And then two, we're saying that we need to be showing up like somebody else, which means we want to be like someone else, which means there is no diversity in this world if we're all trying to show up the same and be the same. And so I want to give you permission today to show up in your life and in your business in a way that feels good for you. Don't get stuck in this box of thinking that you have to show up in a certain way because so-and-so said so, or because this person said so, or because society says so, right? Let me know if you feel me in the comments. Give me some hearts, give me some likes, give me a comment. Let me know that this resonates with you and you're feeling what I'm saying. Because perfectionism holds so many of us back, especially us women, right? And we got to learn to trust ourselves. I was just talking about this today in my Soulful Self-Love Masterclass. I was talking about how powerful it is when we can trust our own wisdom, when we can trust our own guidance. We've grown up and been conditioned to believe that someone else's ideas and opinions of what we should do are the right thing, that someone else knows better, that someone else knows better than we know for ourselves. And what I want you to know is that only you know what's right for you. Only you know what is good for you. So you get to show up and love the way that you show up and know that you're enough and be enough, right? And you get to trust what comes through you. So yesterday I had this idea that I wanted to offer virtual VIP days. And I've never done that before. I've never offered a virtual VIP day. But the thought of it excited me about being able to spend 4 hours with, a couple of women to help them really dig into their business and get clear and create a plan and create a plan around marketing, create a plan around messaging. That really excited me. And if I were trying to live up to this idea of perfection, I would have held myself back and said, well, no, I need to get more clear. I need to really think this through some more. I got to do this. I got to do that. And the thing that wanted to be birthed through me would have never come through because I would have been stuck in the realm of perfectionism. So what is it that you're holding back on because you feel like it's not perfect yet? What is that? Talk to me. Right? You cannot be here watching me and listening and not talk to me. Talk to me. Engage. What do you think? Right? What is it that's holding you back right now because you feel like it's not perfect, or because you feel like you're not ready yet, or because you feel like you don't know enough yet? What if you threw that all away and said, you know what? I'm just going to step out there and do it. I'm just going to step out there and just show up and do the best that I can. Right? Can you allow that to be enough for you? For entrepreneurs who are in business, this can hit us really heavy, because if you have an online business, there's a lot of advice and a lot of information right now that's online about how you should be, how you should show up, what you should be talking about. And there's this pressure to show up a certain way. And it can be debilitating and it can hold you back. And I want you to begin to be more conscious about what you are choosing to let in, what you're choosing to embody within yourself. And understand that everyone has a different way. Everyone has a different way of doing things. And if someone's way resonates with you and it feels good for you, then perfect. Maybe you adopt it. But don't beat yourself up because you feel like you're not getting it, or because you feel like that you can't, that it's not feeling good for you to do it, or you feel like it's not easy, or you feel like it's hard, right? If you're trying to implement something in your business and it feels difficult to you, and it feels like you're pushing a boulder up the hill and you are struggling and it's not feeling good, then that is your trigger to recognize that you need to step back and figure out if it is aligned for you. Thank you for the love hearts. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you. So you got to step back and ask yourself if it's in alignment for you. You've always got to come back through you. And one of the things that I share with my clients is, yes, study, have coaches, have mentors, take the courses, do the things, but before you implement into your business, run it through your own personal standards and ask yourself if it's in alignment with where you want to go. Right? Ask yourself if it feels good for you. Don't just do things in your life and your business because someone says that you should, because it's the only way that you'll have success, or it's the only way that you'll be happy. Everyone moves to this differently. Everyone shows up differently, and you've got to find what works for you, right? Is it in alignment? Alignment is so important. And when we're not in alignment, we feel it. We feel when we're not in alignment because it feels like we're forcing it. It feels like we're trying to force an outcome, that we're trying to control it instead of allowing it to flow through us. Alignment should feel like flow, right? I'm not saying that alignment is that there's not any work involved, because there is work involved, but you'll know when you're aligned because it's going to feel good to you. It's going to feel good to your soul. And so that requires you to let go of this idea that you got to be perfect and to simply show up as you are. And that's the commitment that I'm making to myself, is that I'm going to show up just how I am. Right? And when I feel that pressure to show up as someone different, I'm going to check myself and say, no, I'm going to show up as Kendra. Right? I'm going to show up as me. I'm going to speak in a way that feels good to me. I may go off on tangents and talk about this, talk about that, but that's my way. Right? And when you do that, it's so liberating. And you recognize that you can still be successful by just being who you are. So what if your imperfections that you perceive as imperfections are the catalyst or the doorway that you get to walk through that take your life and your business to the next level. Yes, it takes courage to be who we are. It really does. But you know what? I also feel like there's a part of me that feels really sad when I think about that, because it shouldn't take courage to be who we are. It shouldn't take courage. It should just get to flow through us. But I understand the world that we live in and that there's a lot of conditioning in the world, right? And so, yes, it does take courage. But you have that courage within you to show up and be you, right? I can't tell you how many women I speak to that are in business and they're terrified to do a Facebook Live because they're afraid they're going to fumble over their words. They're afraid people aren't going to understand them. They're afraid that they're going to forget what they're going to say. And I'm like, who cares? Right? Because even though you show up and you may be fumbling, you may forget your words, there's going to be somebody that comes across your page or comes across your message and you inspire them because they see in you that you're still showing up, even though it may not look perfect or whatever the idea of perfect is, but you're still showing up, and that inspires them to show up in their way that they can show up, right? It opens the door for others. It opens the door for others to see what is possible. And people are not looking for, right? Lina says, I make mistakes in my lives all the time. Right, me too. But there are moments where it's like I'm on this train of thought, and then all of a sudden I forget. I'm like, well, wait, what was I talking about? You just got to keep going, right? And that's what people fall in love with. That's what people love. Hey, JL. That's what people love to see, right? And in this time right now, people need to feel, they want to feel connection, right? We're in a space right now where we're all in our homes. We're not connecting socially, physically, like we've been able to. And so we're all like kind of thriving for this connection, okay? We're all kind of thriving for this connection. And people don't want to see this perfect, polished thing. They can't relate to that. Like think about this. If you saw somebody who never showed their flaws, who never let you see the other side of them, they're always perfect and polished and said the right things and had the right words, it would be kind of hard to relate because we're not perfect human beings, right? So, my loves, how can you let your imperfections be the catalyst and doorway to your next level? I invite you to stand with me in making the commitment to yourself to show up imperfect, to embrace your imperfections and flow with it and receive it and know that your enough is good enough. All right? And tonight is the last night that I'm holding open the doors for my Soulful Success virtual one-on-one VIP day. It's a 4-hour VIP day. I'll leave details in the comments. If it speaks to you, message me. All right. I love you all so very much. I wish you health and peace during this time. And I want you to take care of yourself. And thank you so much for all the love hearts. I love it. And it just feeds my soul. So thank you. Have a blessed night, you all. Bye.